Hello, this is my Crazy Ex channel. Please subscribe.
Cheated on the love of my life and broke his heart. Story 1-2. BF and I have been together 3 years, during which time it has gotten a bit intense. We nearly bought a house together and lots of other stuff. We have been struggling in the time department. I have problems with anxiety and stress, and I was feeling trapped. Started flirting with someone, let's say ex at work. Harmless at first. It kinda became intoxicating, and as time went on I felt more and more trapped in my relationship. I suggested an open relationship to spice up our love life, but he didn't like it. Today, things got a little hot and heavy with ex, but I hated it. I could only think about my BF. On my way home, when I see a text from my BF that he saw all the messages between my friend and I about the situation and had moved out, I can honestly say this was the biggest mistake of my life. I love BF more than anything in the world and would give anything to have him back. I despise myself that I hurt him and generally feel like I want to die. I don't know what to do. Am I being cruel for wanting him back? Is it kinder to let him go? I'm desperate to tell him I'm sorry. I want to quit my job. I will likely be fired anyway and don't want anything to do with the mistake I made and follow BF until he talks to me, but I know this is insane. Please help. TL, DR. Cheated on the best boyfriend in the world and cannot live without him. What do I do? Redditors' reactions. Redditor 1, let me correct you. This was not the love of your life. You would have treated him better if it were. Yes, you let him go. He deserves much better. Redditor 2, you cheated. You knowingly betrayed his trust. You floated the idea of an open relationship so you could sleep with someone else. That was rejected, so you did it anyway. At the absolute least, you need to be honest with him, tell him what you want and then leave him alone. If he chooses to forgive you, it needs to be without you hounding him. You must face the consequences of your actions. You may feel hurt and down, but that will be nothing compared to what he will feel. Redditor 3, right now your boyfriend has only seen the messages and has moved out. Does he know yet that your affair got physical? Because he deserves to. Your language is also all focused on how you feel, how trapped you felt, how devastated you are, how you want him back. That shows a lot of selfishness and disregard for how he's feeling. Whether he can forgive you is his choice, but he deserves all of the facts first, and you need to own what you've done. This was an affair, not one mistake. That's a lot harder to forgive. Op answer, I'm not sure if he knows or thinks it was physical. I have messaged him about it, but he won't read them or pick up the phone, which I understand. You're right that I am selfish. I don't want to lose him, but also don't want to hurt him anymore. He deserves that much. Redditor 4, nah, you didn't love him. You don't deserve him. You shat on the sanctity of your relationship by cheating. He doesn't deserve you either. He needs much better. You should probably get into therapy to figure out why you so easily can harm and deceive someone you think you love. Best of luck to your ex. Redditor 5, you would be cruel if you asked him to come back to you. My father cheated on my mom, and the level of resentment, hurt and distrust that's created by staying in a relationship where someone cheats is terribly unhealthy. He will constantly wonder why he wasn't enough, why you couldn't just stay with him and be honest, or why you wouldn't just break up with him then start dating the other person. You should just focus on yourself, get professional therapy, and hope that the next time you're in a relationship you can keep these behaviors to yourself or be upfront and say you want a non-monogamous relationship. Redditor 6, without supporting what you did, I will ask, what would you do if you were him? Would you forgive him if he did something like this? Op answer, fair question. I honestly don't know. He has always been the kind and selfless partner, so it would be easier for me to forgive him than him me. What would you do? Redditor 7, please. Let's be honest here. You do not love your BF more than anything, more specifically not more than some random coworker. You are a cheater, and that makes you selfish and egocentric and only crying now because you have consequences. Sure, tell him you are sorry, but don't expect that to make a difference. You want to avoid this in the future? Admit your shortcomings, learn from this, and be better to your next BF. Redditor 8, I love my boyfriend so damn much. Also I cheated on my boyfriend with my coworker that I have been flirting with for some time. Redditor 9, the best thing for you and for those around you, do some major self-improvement. This wasn't just one little decision. This was an ongoing series of bad choices, lame justifications, lies, and self-centeredness. Please go to regular therapy. Figure out how and why you could do this. I don't think you realize how devastating and sometimes emotionally traumatizing it is to discover infidelity. You've got to own what you did. Let me give an example of the pretzel logic you're still using. Fluting harmless at first. Imagine if your boyfriend had stopped by your job and had overheard your cute banter back and forth with your crush. Would he have felt it was harmless? Then the harmless flirting led to you feeling so trapped in the relationship. If you felt trapped, what would a better course of action have been? Break up. You tried to have your cake and eat it, too. You asked boyfriend for an open relationship. An open relationship is never the solution to a monogamous relationship where one person is bored but not communicating it. When he said no, you still wouldn't break up. Redditor 10, all of this self-loathing you mentioned. Can you imagine how he feels? You suck and you are insane. Leave your ex-boyfriend alone. He can do better. Redditor 11, I've been cheated on, it's shitty, no easy way to put it, you messed up. He needs to find someone who treats him right and wouldn't do that stuff, it's not that difficult. Redditor 12, you ducked up so you get to deal with the consequences. Redditor 13, did you confess or were you caught? From his POV, you have been struggling with each other sexually because of stress and anxiety, but you bring up an open relationship. Why would you do that? You have stress or anxiety with your BF but you'll feel at ease with someone else? He's thinking, why wasn't he good enough? What is it about him that made you do this? And that'll have a lasting effect. Then you keep up your emotional affair until things turn physical. He knew the real reason to open the relationship was not about him at all. He's probably been reading your messages for a while hoping you wouldn't cross that line physically. But when you did, there's really no coming back. He still loves you. Love is easy. It's the trust, lying and disrespect that he can't get over. Give him time and space. Be proactive, don't wait for him to tell you what to do. Show him what you've done, such as quitting your job, don't wait to be fired, block the other man. And take time to really think about why this happened and what your plan is to prevent this in the future. Op answer, the anxiety thing is all me. I get stressed when I feel like I'm not putting out enough. Then the pressure to have time builds to the point where I'm too stressed to have it anymore. He never pressured me, but I know he was frustrated sometimes. I thought the open relationship might take the pressure off and bring us closer together. I like the idea of being proactive and showing how I will never do it again. How do I show him if he won't talk to me? Redditor 14, I can honestly say this was the biggest mistake of my life. I love BF more than anything in the world and would give anything to have him back. I despise myself that I hurt him and generally feel like I want to die. Pobrecita. You made your bed, time to lay down. Redditor 15, he wasn't the love of your life, as you could so easily betray him like that. You didn't have the decency to tell him. You were caught. This wasn't a mistake, but a series of poor choices that you need to own. You chose this path. Now you get to deal with the consequences. Leave him be so he can work through this and heal and find someone who actually cherishes him. Redditor 16, it's out of your hands now. Do what they tell you to do, as in giving them space. You just feel guilty and have the need to undo what you've just done, but there's no way you can do that, especially for your partner. As someone who was cheated on before, you need to really figure out why you did this. Why they suggested an open relationship. That was a bandage and wouldn't have fixed whatever the problems you had before. Redditor 17, I'm afraid this is one of those lessons you're going to have to learn the hard way. Redditor 18, what I don't understand is you said we have been struggling in the time department. I have problems with anxiety and stress and I was feeling trapped. So you go duck some other guy instead of trying to work things out with your BF. You may have lost the one true love of your life. The only thing you can do is tell him you ducked up and that you know nothing you do or say will take back the hurt you caused him, and that you are eternally sorry for what you have done and realized once it was too late. Tell him you will be seeing a therapist and do it and hope that one day he can forgive you and maybe see if you can have a second chance. Leave it at that, don't push it and let him decide what he wants. Redditor 19, you treated him pretty bad for someone you say is the love of your life and best boyfriend in the world. Yay, let him go. You seem like you need time to reflect and realize in a relationship that not everything is about your whims. One min you're trapped in a relationship, the next he's the beat thing ever. Redditor 20, let him go find peace elsewhere. You women will never ever understand how deep cheating cuts a committed male. Story 22, I am 28, think my wife F29 is planning to cheat on me again. My wife and I have been married for 7 years. 3 years into our marriage she had an affair with a man in his 40s that she met at a work conference. For context, my wife is very outgoing socially, but reserved when it comes to S-time or PDA. In social settings it isn't uncommon for her to meet new people and spend the evening with strangers, especially when drinks are involved. Long story short, he lived about an hour away close to a state park, and she would go on the weekend to the park for a few hours by herself to clear her mind and get some exercise. She did this several times plus their time spent together at the work conference, but then it stopped when we moved away as far as I know. Red flags were going up for me as my wife is not typically someone that likes to exercise, especially for multiple hours by herself. I suspected something was going on at the time, but I wasn't in much of a position to call her out on it as I was finishing school and she was working to put me through school, and I was afraid I wouldn't be able to afford school and would have had to drop out, and was already in my last year of my grad program. Eventually the guilt caught up to her, and about 2 years ago she broke down and told me. I was obviously upset, but at the same time I understood. I was not giving her the attention she needed because all of the stress I was going through, and would spend a good majority of my free time studying or working my low-paying part-time job to help make ends meet. Does that make it okay? No. But I forgave her for it, and we moved on with the understanding that it could never happen again or I would leave her. A few months ago she went to the same work conference where she met the first guy. This time she says she got too drunk and ended up passing out in some guy's room, which she was upfront about. Her story is that nothing happened whatsoever. I was still frustrated that she put herself in that position, but relieved that nothing bad happened to her. A few weeks after that I picked up her phone to look up the weather, and I see that she has a bunch of tabs open, and that drives me crazy, so I exit out of them so I can do my search. But then as I am closing through the tabs I notice a guy's name that is not familiar and is not the guy she had the previous affair with. It seemed like she knew his name but was trying to get more information. Searches on where he lived, what he did for work, those sorts of things. I thought that was odd, but thought it could be work related, so I let it slide. Fast forward to a couple of weeks ago. A similar thing happened where I'm looking up something on her phone and see that she is looking into hotels and flights to 3 different cities. The same guy's name pops up again in a few more searches. She has also talked to me about wanting to do a solo trip this summer because I'm going on a guy's trip for a long weekend, and says she's always wanted to go on a solo trip. At this point I start looking through her phone even more to figure out what is going on. I know, I probably shouldn't have, but in the moment that's all I could do, especially with our history. I looked up this guy and he happens to have a work conference in 2 of the cities she is thinking about going to, and the 3rd city she has talked about is the city he lives in with his wife and kids. These cities aren't exactly destination cities, especially in the middle of summer, so I have a hard time believing it's just a coincidence. I looked up this guy's business, and the dates she is looking into going also line up with the work conferences that this business will be at. To clarify, this guy was a vendor at my wife's conference she attended, and these conferences this summer are unrelated to my wife's field. I also noticed she had looked up blog posts about wives who have left their husbands to find their soulmates and how much it costs to get a divorce. She is even looking up jobs in her field in the city where he lives. At this point I'm almost entirely sure she has one foot out the door and just waiting for the right moment. Sometimes I wonder if this is more of a fantasy thing for her or if she's actually intending on going through with it. The most messed up thing to me is that we have been trying to have kids for the last few months, and now she seems like she wants out. She has been very protective of her phone, very irritable, and spending less time around me altogether. All signs that make me feel like she wants out. Sorry this was much longer than intended. Now for the advice part. I don't know what to do. I have a few close supportive friends, but I don't want to share with them this potential infidelity as it could interfere with future relationships if my wife and I can work this out. I could confront her about it, but I'm afraid she will get defensive. cover her tracks, and maybe give up on this particular affair and apologize profusely, but still leave me with the ongoing fear of it happening again. I could just cut ties from her and move on after confronting her. We're still young with no kids and could still both find someone we are happy with and start families of our own. I love my wife. I think I'm a good husband most of the time and don't feel like I deserve this. I've never once been unfaithful to her and we have been with each other since we were in high school. If this is how she truly feels about me, then I'm not sure we should be together. I could wait it out and see what happens. See if she actually goes to see this guy and wait for something to actually happen before breaking it off mutually. TLDR, wife has cheated on me in the past. Worked it out and forgave her. Looks like she is trying to do it again and may have caught her before it happens. What do I do now? Redditors' reactions. Redditor 1, you leave her. That's it. You can't trust her. Redditor 2, confront her and tell her you know and it's time for a divorce. Op answer, thanks for the input. I think part of me writing this out is me justifying that it's the right thing to do. Redditor 3, that was not the second time she cheated, it was the second time you caught her. Redditor 4, nah, you have seen that she's already planning to cheat again. You deserve better, I wouldn't even wait for her to do it. I'd ask her if she wants a divorce. Redditor 5, cheaters cheat. You should have expected this when you forgave her the first time. Redditor follow up, never trust a cheater. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. People need to learn that cheaters are worthless monsters that have no issue throwing you in your personal hell. They have no honor nor conscience. Redditor 6, she's definitely wanting to cheat, her meticulousness about it is really disgusting emo. She's wanting to cheat with a man who is already married with kids, she's pathetic. Go to a lawyer, get divorce papers and gather all the evidence you found and then confront her with it. Redditor follow up, let's not kid ourselves, they definitely ducked when she stayed in his room, but for him it was a ONS since he is married. It's disgusting and she is stalking him to try and get some more rounds in with him. Redditor 7, gather all of the needed evidence. Pretend that everything is fine until then. Take screenshots, look at text and call logs. Look for encrypted messaging apps like Signal. Build your case, and get a good divorce lawyer working on it. Build your exit plan, have a financial reserve along with cash and important personal mementos set aside. Look into safety, a deposit box for your valuables and a storage unit for your personal effects. Follow your lawyer's advice. When you have everything ready, serve her papers, and tell her that you know. Redditor 8, not sure how you can trust her after this and the first time. Like you said, you are still young and deserve someone who is thrilled and super psyched to be with you. Sorry you're going through this. Redditor 9, my friend, you are married to a serial cheater. Been there myself. I know how much you want to try to save the marriage and think that you can somehow make it work, but you have discovered all the evidence that you need to prove to yourself that there is no other answer except to divorce her and move on with your life. After finding out that my ex had cheated on me, I tried to make it work for the sake of my daughter. All it did was destroy me when it happened again and again. I was finally so broken that there was no way that I could stay any longer. That was 8 years ago. I'm much happier now that I'm out of the marriage, but experiencing that really did break me. I haven't dated or even tried to date after the marriage. I don't think that I ever will again. I can't trust anyone to get that close to me again because to be betrayed again would just be too much to take. Don't let that happen to yourself. You are still young and you can likely bounce back from this. If you stay with her, she will only destroy you. Be thankful that you don't have kids with her. Don't have time with her, and go to see a lawyer tomorrow. Get your ducks in a row so that you can do the divorce under the best conditions for yourself. She sounds really selfish, and if she is emotionally cut off from you, she isn't going to be concerned about your well-being in the divorce. Don't tell her until you talk to a lawyer and get advice from them on how to handle it. Also, get pictures of everything that you can and save them in the cloud. Redditor 10, cheating sucks and it sounds like she's definitely emotionally cheating. Honestly, I understand that you love her, but she doesn't seem to respect you. I'd divorce. Plenty of women in the world, likely could find one who's going to respect your effort and commitment. Redditor 11, if you have to use the word again in the context of a cheating partner, then you are the problem. You should have dumped her the first time. Redditor 12, why torture yourself? Maybe she's cheating, maybe she's not, but her past actions say that she probably is. Your best option would be to go to couples therapy, but only if you both are willing to make the marriage work. Whatever you do, don't have a child with her. If therapy doesn't happen or work out, then seek a divorce lawyer so you can move on and find a woman that wants to be there for you and doesn't cheat. You deserve that. Op answer, I agree about couples therapy. She agreed initially after the first time it happened, but when it came down to it she wouldn't go. I should have been more persistent at the time, but life goes on and things get swept under the rug. Lesson learned. Redditor 13, you deserve better. Leave her. Redditor 14, I hate say it, but if she is going full stalker mode to find this guy, then I'm sure that they ducked when she stayed in his room. If all she did was crash in his room, why would she go to this extent to find him and potentially move to his city if nothing happened and she doesn't know he is DTF? All she got was his name and all he was interested in was a ONS, so now she is hunting him down to try and get in some more rounds. She's going through the same steps she went through the first time. Sleep with a guy at work conference, find out where he lives, start a long-term affair with him. None of this is your fault and you shouldn't waste any more of your youth with her because she isn't going to change. This is who she is. You can make a relatively clean break at this point and have plenty of time to find someone that will be faithful and treat you with the respect that you deserve. Redditor 15, just tell her you know, and that you want a divorce. It would be an absolute insult at this point for her to try saying that nothing is happening. Just for fun, on the day you tell her, also let his wife know that he is cheating on her with your wife. Redditor 16, honestly wouldn't be surprised if she was on birth control these last few months you've been trying to get pregnant. Cut and run. This will never work out. Redditor 17, once a cheater always a cheater. Redditor 18, she cheated on you once and you still carried on your marriage, get some self-respect, man. Redditor 19, check out our surviving infidelity and make an exit plan with a divorce attorney before you confront her. Your marriage is over, time to focus on setting up the best stage of your life. Redditor 20, it must be hard to go through this and it's a difficult decision to leave, even if the answer is obvious. Just don't make any more excuses for her. She's made her decision to cheat several times and she's planning her farewell right now. It's time you find a way to accept that it's done and it's going to end and that it's okay that it's ending too. Another chapter will begin in your life and you will find someone who loves you again. Plan your own trip, buy something cool, move city, start a new job, start a new hobby or reconnect with old friends, do anything. Don't wallow in sadness once she's gone for too long. There will be time to mourn the loss of your marriage, but you should try to keep busy before she tries to claw her way back in if her new relationship fails. I would seek counsel with a psych for a while to process your thoughts afterwards if I were in your shoes. Her actions have shown she isn't a good life partner, or mother for your future children if you had any. If she was feeling lonely and genuinely cared, she would communicate it better to you instead of letting a guy rail her at a trade show, especially seeking it multiple times instead of going to her loving husband. She's got a real shit way of dealing with it, but she's made her decision through her actions and you need to accept that. You will love someone and be loved again someday. Be happy with yourself first by being away from this person.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.